All right, Brian and I are now joined by a very, very, very special guest, actually a recurring guest, friend of the podcast. It is Ryan O'Hearn of the Baltimore Orioles. Right before he's heading off to spring training. Ryan, it's great to have you back on the pod, man. It's so great to see you. How's everything down there in Texas?
Everything is good. No complaints here. Just kind of wrapping up the off season, but thank you for having me on, Justin and Brian. Big fan of the podcast, so happy to be on.
I love it, dude. So I actually want to start the Pioneer League because I think that's where you guys had met. I've
Yeah.
heard varying accounts of what that was like. I've heard Hitters League. I've heard like all these sorts of things. Also, just crazy. It's in the middle of nowhere. Ryan, what do you remember about the Pioneer League? And then when did you first run into Brian?
Yeah, so the Pioneer League, definitely a hitter's league, I would say. You can't find any thinner air than Utah and
Mm.
Idaho Falls and all these places. I mean, what a sick league if you're like a college hitter to go into because you can put up stupid numbers and kind of get your name out there. Um, yeah, Brian O'Grady. All right. Missoula, Billings, Missoula. This dude is leading off one game playing center field, the next game playing first base. He's got the second most Irish name of all time behind me. I'm like, I like this guy. This guy's a savage, and good at bats. Obviously, he ended up being a really good hitter. So, lasers all over the yard. I remember, I think he hit a ball to me at first, and I mean, I thought I was the shit at that point because I was just putting up big time numbers there, and I was like, man, this guy's got fucking juice. And yeah, there were some good players in that league, and we were two of them for sure.
I love it. Brian, what do you remember about the Pioneer League? Also crazy that like you think of you get drafted to the show, you think you're gonna go to like some glamorous location and you're in a town of like probably 5,000 in the middle of Montana. So it's kind of the opposite there.
Billings, he
Man,
was in Billings. Billings was one of the
yeah,
better ones.
yeah. Man, the Pioneer League was awesome. I had a lot of fun there. We had a great team. Like Ryan said, we were basically a college team. We had a couple of high school guys, but so we meshed really well together, and um, we won the championship. I think we beat them in the first round of playoffs, maybe, but I'm pretty sure Ryan won MVP and hit like 500. So he had that going at least. Yeah, I remember we went to Idaho Falls to play them, and I saw Ryan's numbers, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. And then he just like, I mean, it was a joke. We could not get him out. Like every ball was just an absolute missile all over the place. And I'm like, this guy is unbelievable. And yeah, he was playing first too. So when we got on base, we start talking, and obviously Ryan O'Hearn, Brian O'Grady, lefties. It was just kind of it just kind of went
Yeah.
well. So we just kind of clicked right away. But man, that was a it was definitely a fun league. Billings was an awesome place. Fans were great. The town was great. I had a lot of fun out there. My biggest complaint about that league was just everything was so spread out. Man, our closest trip was 5 hours to Great Falls, and like Ryan said, Utah. I mean, that was like all of 13 hours on a bus, on one
Oh
bus,
yeah.
packed in with all these. I mean, the travel in that league was rough, but I had a great time. Um, that league was a lot of fun. I'm kind of sad it's not a affiliate league anymore, but yeah, Ryan hit the shit out of the ball up there. He really did. It was impressive.
Dude, these guys in the minor leagues, they don't get it nowadays. They don't have the same. I remember showing up to Idaho Falls like straight on a bus overnight, 14 hours, like, 30s, just sweaty dudes on the bus. I was like, oh my God, we're in it. I remember a
It's
young,
the
like
truth.
a young Cody Bellinger in that league.
Yep.
There were some really good players. I can't think of them right now, but there were some really good players
Yeah.
in that league. Somebody else too, the Dodgers.
I can't. They were in Ogden. Yeah, I remember
Verdugo.
Bellinger,
Verdugo was young
Verdugo.
too.
Yeah, yeah. There were some good players in that league. It was a lot of fun. It really was. Those bus trips. Yeah, I remember we left. I think Orem, Utah, and had to play, or no, Ogden after the game. Bust overnight. Got back at like 10, 11 in the morning. Had to play that night at 6:30 or whatever, and it was like, yeah, there they didn't care. It was one bus,
Oh,
fun. I mean, packed. Packed.
yeah.
Everyone's
You're not
sleeping on
staying
the
at the Ritz
floor.
back then either.
Yeah, they don't. They don't know how good they got it these days, man,
No, I know.
compared to us. At least.
Scheduled off day, one to schedule off day a week. Come on, that's crazy.
Yep.
Did you guys ever run into each other when you were playing in the show, Brian?
No,
Yeah,
I don't think did we? Definitely spring training in Arizona at some point. I believe when you were still
I
with
think
the Royals. I think
maybe were you when were you in Cincy?
19.
Maybe
Oh
in
yes, yeah, yeah. You know what? It might have been 19
early
spring
on. Yeah,
training. Yeah, I think you're right. Because did you make the team that year?
I did. I was on the team the whole year that year,
Yeah, I
and I
think I
think we
think I
went to Cincy, and I saw you there.
yeah I think I remember. I think maybe like towards the end of that spring, I saw like that you were making the team or something, and we happened to play you guys like towards the
Something like
end of
that.
spring or whatever. I remember I think talking to you right before that or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, something I think man,
but that feels like it
feels
was
so long
yesterday,
ago.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
Dude, it's funny how it can feel like it was 10 years ago, but also yesterday at the same time.
Right? Yeah, I feel like I blinked and now like I'm like one of the only few guys over 30 on the team now. It's like, oh my God.
Also, picks 243 and 245 in the MLB draft that year. So the
No kidding. I
similarities.
didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That's
Yeah.
No
hilarious.
way. That's awesome, dude. No
Wait,
way.
which one was which? Was I
Yeah,
first
who
or
was
him?
43? Who's 243?
Oh, I had it pulled up too. Ryan was first. Ryan was
Oh, let's
That's
go,
243
dude.
and
bullshit.
Brian was 245.
Let's go.
That's
Uh
such
Sorry.
bullshit.
loaded
Yeah.
eighth round of that year. Stone Garrett, Stevie Wilkerson, a
Yeah.
couple guys. So yeah, that draft class produced some gems. A lot of
Ryan,
Irish guys in that draft class.
Ryan, were you a senior? Were you a senior too, or were you a junior?
No, no, I was a
A
junior.
junior. You were actually good. I was just saving money back then, but that's cool.
Where'd you go to college, Brian?
I went to Rutgers.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember that. That's right.
Um, much different hitter from the Pioneer League to now Ryan. I think one of my favorite conversations last time was just like the evolution of your swing. Like the way you broke it down last time was so cool. To kind of piggyback off of that, one thing I've noticed from 23 to 24, Ryan, was just like the strikeout rate was cut down dramatically. The walk rate went up incredibly. I was wondering what kind of all had to go into that to have such a drastic effect like that.
Yeah, I got to give a ton of credit to just the O's hitting coaches last year. So, and they're all in different places now. So Ryan Fuller, Borg Schulte, and Cody Ashley's still with us. But these guys, they sat me down and they were like, "How often do you think you swing at a 3-2 pitch?" This was after the 2023 season. So I'm like, feel like I just had the greatest year ever. Everything's good. He's like, "How often do you think you swing at a 3-2 count pitch?" And I was like, a lot? He goes, yeah, 88% of the time you're swinging at the pitch in a full count. That's like astronomical. That's like far, far and above anybody else in the league. So they were like, obviously we got to cut that down. So my strategy is like when I got to 3-2 counts, and I had heard this from Carlos Santana before too. He's like, condense your strike zone, because you chase more than you get rung up on like a borderline pitch. So I was kind of like condensing my strike zone. And then, like, yeah, I may strike out looking like every now and then, here more often than I did prior, but I walked way more and I chased way less in 3-2 counts. And then all of a sudden I had this great strikeout rate and this great walk rate. And I was like, I didn't really do anything different other than in 3-2 counts. I kind of shrunk the zone and then it just had this like insane effect because I feel like I've always been really good at getting to 3-2 and then just out of a subconscious fear of like I don't want to strike out looking, it's like you're swinging everything. So yeah, when I saw that 88% of the time I was swinging at every full count pitch, it like blew my mind. So that's kind of where that started.
Wow. Brian, have you had light bulb moments like that? And also, is like pitch tracking in your eye at the plate something that can be worked on like that?
Yeah, I think what Ryan said is money right there. I think as a hitter in general, 3-2 used to be like pitcher wants to throw a strike, he doesn't want to walk you. So hitters were like ready back then, and that has totally changed to now it's like 3-2, you're getting some nasty shit trying to get you to chase. And it's such a big difference. Like that one pitch is so important that if you just, like Ryan's talking about, if you just win most of those at bats and get a walk or whatever it is instead of chasing something, I mean that makes a huge difference of itself. And I've definitely, I don't know what my chase rate is on 3-2 over the years. I don't know if it's 88%, but I'm sure it's up there. So I 100% get what he's talking about. And yeah, you just I think he said it perfect. There's just like a subconscious thing where you're like, I don't want to strike out looking, and you just
Right.
expand the zone and just. I mean, I've swung at pitches where immediately I'm just trying to like foul it off for no reason and it's not even close, and you're just walking back to the dugout like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And it really makes such a huge difference, even if you can just win those counts instead of throwing them away.
Why? Yeah. Why does it feel like you can spit on like just something barely off 2-2, and then with a full count, it's just like a different. It shouldn't feel like that,
Yeah,
right? I think
100%, man.
it's a fear of striking out looking. That's what I think the problem is. Because like, think about Brian and I spent a lot of time in the major leagues. Like, hey, like you strike out looking, like we might not see you for a few days.
Yeah,
So I mean, that can create bad habits. That can create just like overly competing. Maybe I would say like competing in a bad way.
yeah. I think
Like
that's
this guy's not getting a ball by me, and then you're swinging a foot
yeah,
over your head.
that's a good way to put it. I think I can't remember, Justin, if you were like the last time Ryan came on or something. We were talking about him and how well he was playing, and I think you were asking what reasons I kind of thought maybe why he was playing better or whatever. And I said that Ryan, you kind of closed off your stance or whatever. You ended up more closed than I remembered. But I also said, you were just getting the opportunity to play a lot more.
Mhm.
Like you weren't, like you just said, you weren't, if you struck out looking, you weren't sitting on the bench for 3 days or pinch hitting or
Right.
whatever it was. How big of a difference for you has that been since you've gotten to obviously earned it, but just gotten more at bats and more consistent at bats?
Yeah, I mean it's a game changer. If it changes everything. If you feel like you can strike out looking or have a rough game, and you're going to be back in there tomorrow, I think that changes everything. You don't feel like you have to play for your life and your livelihood every time you go out there, and then you loosen up and then turn some of your natural abilities start to come out instead of feeling like you're pressing. But I mean, I think it's you know, as hard as it is, like at our level, that's just kind of what it is. Everybody's good, and if you don't kill it right away, your first shot at the big leagues, then it's not going to always. It's going to be a tough road to come back. I mean, I was designated twice, optioned many times. Like it's never going to go the way that you think it is. It's a constant up and down thing. So when I finally got to Baltimore, I felt like I mean, it didn't start off great. I went to Norfolk to start the year, and then for whatever reason, injuries or uh, whatever it was, I got to play, and I played well. And then you gain that confidence, and then you get to a point where you feel like you know what's expected of you, you know what your role is, and then it becomes a lot more fun because it's like you just get in a routine, you get used to getting hits and having some success, and I'm in a different place than I used to be, so everything is like fresh and new, and then it just kind of snowballs.
Ryan, I read a quote from, I think when you were in Kansas City, from the times that, like you had mentioned, like when you were sitting on the bench, I think you had spent a lot of time with your hitting coach, John Mabry, at that time. And
Hmm.
can you talk about like the times where you were on the bench and you were observing rather than out in the field? How beneficial were those times to you and to your success when you actually did see the field?
Yeah, Mabry was massive for me, and he still is. I still talk to Mabry a lot. Really smart. I think I wish I wouldn't have known some of the things I know now before we worked together, because like maybe I didn't fully grasp what he was trying to teach me at times. But I definitely learned like lower half. I cleaned up my lower half. He helped me understand like how to tuck back, get back into your back hip, and then what it should look like on the lower half. Like he used to call it your like your front side of the gate was like swinging open. So like I would like get back into my back hip, and then the gate would just swing open, and then I'm spinning and hitting ground balls again. So like he helped me understand like landing with you're still like in your back hip landing, and then like directing the energy where you want it to go. And he taught me about, some people call it air brakes, some people call it ground control, or so. It's basically just like being able to land on time for a fastball, sink, and by length in the zone to be able to cover, medium speed pitches or changeups or whatever. So like you're looking for fastball to hit the left center, you land, it's a slider or something, then you sink and then you catch it out front, and that's how you hit your homer to right field. And I didn't even understand anything about that until I met John Mabry. But I spent a lot of time with him. We watched a lot of hitters. I remember watching, it was like every hitter that I admired or thought was a good left-handed hitter at the time. Every time he was up, like I'd be right next to Mabry and he'd be like, see, look at that, look at this. And we'd be like locked in on guys. So, I mean, I got a lot of help from John Mabry. I think he's a really good hitting guy, smart guy. Really appreciate him. I'm pretty sure my ass cheeks are indented on the bench over there in Kansas City, by the way. If you guys want to go check, there may be just two butt cheeks.
There's a plaque. Yeah.
Yeah, I was joking. I should get a statue over there on that bench. That was when I left.
Oh my God.
But I think that's
and you know who was with me? Brent Rooker spent that season with me on the bench. Me and Rook were on the bench hanging with John Mabry, watching hitters and just talking. And, I think during a time when it would have been real easy to like pout and just be like a bad teammate and be pissed off, like Mabry and having Rooker and Mabry and those guys in the dugout during the games made everything so much better because it felt like productive. And obviously, and Mabry was great, like kind of like challenged me to like, he knew it wasn't, I was going through it mentally, but he kind of challenged me to like stay positive, be a good teammate in his own like cool way, So a lot of respect and for him, and obviously it worked for Rook too.
It's so cool to hear because I think we as fans, we don't understand like what guys do in the dugout during games. I think most people probably just assume you guys are just hanging out, but it's cool to see that you use that time for like productive stuff. Brian, I remember I think it was like Joe Musgrove talking about how amped up you were on the bench when you weren't playing. Did you have a different approach from the times you weren't playing? Did you hang out with starting pitchers more? Did you talk to the hitting coaches? What did you do with your time?
Yeah, when I wasn't playing, I was definitely the same type of thing, trying to watch, see what was going on, learn from guys. Talk to Damian Easley was our hitting coach in San Diego there, so I talked to him a lot about all the same things that Ryan's talking about because you really can learn a lot by just watching the game. And being in the National League, it was a little bit different.
Yeah, I bet.
I would have to start getting ready, to pinch hit or just in case because it was just you had to pay attention to what was going on in the game, how the starting pitcher was doing. Is there a chance I'm going to pitch hit in the fourth inning, or am I not going to be till ninth inning or whatever? And at least in San Diego, they did a pretty good job. Skip Schumacher did a pretty good job of like, Brian, make sure you're ready, whatever, go do what you got to do. This could happen or whatever. So, yeah, you definitely got to stay locked in on the bench. It's not just hanging out. At least it wasn't for me. Maybe some guys who've been around can get away with that a little bit more or whatever. But it's if I in San Diego, especially if I wasn't playing or wasn't starting, which was the vast majority of the time because that team had dudes all over that were just penciled in every day. I tried to, like Ryan was saying, be a good teammate, bring some energy. And for whatever reason, for me, my whole career, I don't know. I've just always gotten along with pitchers really well, aside from the hitters. Like I just had a lot of buddies who were pitchers, and maybe it's because I was sitting on the bench with them most of the time. But yeah, I would just talk to them or ask them what they thought about hitters, all that kind of stuff, or annoy you Darvish and talk his ear off or whatever it was. But it was I had fun, man. I mean, I learned a lot from sitting on the bench too. As much as it wasn't fun to not be out there playing, it was a lot of good stuff that came out of learning from everybody over there.
Brian, what was the earliest either that you either went in or came out of a game with a double switch? Like what
Oh,
inning?
That's a good question.
I know Justin can look it up, but let me think. I definitely in San Diego. I think against the Marlins, I pinch hit like bottom of the first or bottom of the second. I can't remember, but it was super early, and it was a
Like an
RBI.
opener situation, maybe?
Yeah, so it was like an I think it was like an RBI ground out off some lefty, but I think that was the earliest. Some of the I don't think I ever had the double switch for like an injury. I remember there was there was one game in Cincinnati right after I got called up that it was the first inning and Joey Votto got rung up on a call that he really, really didn't like. And I think there was another one in his bat he didn't like too, and it was top of the or bottom of the first. And I thought I thought he was getting tossed. And he's like standing at the top step of the dugout screaming at the umpire, everything. I'm like, oh shit, I better start getting
Where's
ready.
my
It's like
glove?
a Sunday day game. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
And thankfully he didn't get thrown out, so I didn't have to go in that early for that one. But yeah, you're when you're on the bench or in the old National League, you were on the bench. You weren't expecting it. Innings 1, 2, and 3, you thought you were like, okay, you didn't
Safe.
have to worry about
Yeah.
doing anything yet.
Yeah. I feel like you're good. You're usually safe nowadays to like the sixth, and then it goes weird.
Yeah,
So wait, that was a legit fear that like for most of the game you just had to be like locked in because if you weren't, like your numbers could be called.
Well, in the National League, yeah, for him,
Yeah.
I mean, I
yeah,
think a lot more complicated. I think for now, it's like pretty much I'm chilling until like the sixth inning, and then I'm gonna go like, you monitor the pitcher, you see how he's doing, the other pitcher, and you watch the bullpen. Usually, if the bullpen starts moving around, then I'll start moving around, and then kind of like go look and see who I might face, who my best matchups are, and I'll get loose.
yeah.
Um,
It was it just watching what was going on with their pitcher, what was going on with our pitcher, like there were just a lot of scenarios, but you get used to that. It's not like rocket science when you're in it, but it was just hard. The hardest part for me would be like if you start if a situation might come up in the fourth or fifth inning and you start taking swings and getting loose again, and then it doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden, like the seventh, you're taking more swings, and okay, that doesn't happen. Well, now we're in the ninth, and like, shit, I'm gonna hit again. Like by the end of it, next thing you know, you took like 150 swings, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like tired after all day, and then doing that, and then it's like a balance to try to be ready but not wear yourself out at the same time. But
We
again, like,
forget most people don't know about like the dry hump as a uh I mean for the pitchers too, but like for the hitters
yeah,
it's like, hey, it's like, O'Grady, get hot, like, so and so may be coming in, and then like guy gets a base hit or whatever, or hitting over, oh, sit down, and then like you may do that 3 times throughout the game, and then either never come in or maybe come in. He's like, just got to be ready to go toward back half of the game.
One thing I wanted to get your opinion on Ryan was that like one thing Brian and I talked about last year is just like the first pitch of an at bat. Because I think Brian, you had noticed that like Adley Rutschman, he had gone from being super passive on the first pitch to swinging at the first pitch a lot more. I was wondering, Ryan, how do you approach the first pitch of an at bat? And was that something you noticed with Adley being a teammate of his, just like noticing that like, he wants to be more aggressive in the count early?
I've always thought he was like super patient. I didn't know that he started swinging to more first pitches. I know he didn't swing at a first pitch for like a long time. Um, but I feel like he sees more pitches than anybody, which is a good thing. He's got a good eye. Um, but what would you say was the second?
If you want to be more aggressive, is the first pitch a good place to start, like to swing early at that?
Yeah, I think it all depends on how you're feeling and kind of the situation of the game. I think if there's a man in scoring position, if there's a run in scoring position, I'm always safeties off. Like I'm going into the at bat, like looking to get after something in the middle of the plate because there's a guy on base. Like you can't give up potentially the best pitch of the at bat. But also, like if it's a day game and I haven't seen this guy before and whatever, like I'm probably taking the first pitch of my first at bat. So it's like you kind of gotta, you kind of vibe it out if you see how you're going. Um, Sometimes you'll face a guy that you're just like you got his number for whatever reason, or like you have a pretty good feeling he's going to go throw a certain pitch. So I may go in there and just take a chance. Like if he flips a breaking ball in here, like I'm murdering it. But anything else, like I'm gonna let it go. So you just kind of like formulate your game plan. I think if there's a man in scoring position, like I'm ready to go from the first pitch on for sure. Because I think a lot of those guys, especially at the back end, when you're going to impact the game, their stuff is so good that, if you get one fastball in the middle third of the plate, that's probably going to be the only one that you get. So get at least, or one, like most of those guys don't throw get me over breaking balls, but if they throw like a medium speed pitch in the middle, that might be the only one you get.
Or if you're
So,
pinch hitting too, right? I think Brian, that was your thing. If you go up
oh,
pinch
yeah.
hitting, I mean, you have to be swinging at the first pitch if it's good.
I mean, you got to be ready to go because it just happens so quick. Like I've experienced it before, where it's like you go up there, you take the first pitch, strike, foul the second one off, and then it's like, oh gosh, like where do I go from here? Whereas you might have got jammed on the first pitch. I've gotten a lot of first pitch pinch hit base hits before. Sometimes it's the best pitch you get to hit.
Yeah, I think pinch hitting especially like that was a big thing when I was in San Diego. Like if it was a first pitch fastball somewhere on the plate, like you had to be hacking. You don't want to get in that hole. It's like Ryan said too. A lot of the times you're pinch hitting against more back end guys, and their stuff is nasty, and you're ready to go. But yeah, it is a game plan, like Ryan said. I mean, like one that pops out in my head that is against Daniel Bard in Colorado, and he throws hard, has a really good slider, and we played a doubleheader that day, and I started the first game and didn't start the second game, and came in to pinch hit, and we were down a run in the top of the seventh, and I'm pretty sure it was only 2 sevens that day or whatever, and in my head,
Oh,
I'm like, man, I'm cheating right here for a fastball. I know he throws hard, and if it's on the plate, I'm gonna hit the shit out of it, and if it's a slider in the dirt, I'm gonna swing and miss by 15 feet. But I'm gonna take a chance here in this situation of the game, and thankfully he threw a heater right down the middle and didn't have enough juice to get it out, but hit it off the top of the fence and ended up scoring the tying run. So it's just the game dictates it too. But yeah, I think a lot of times that first pitch, especially later in the game or pinch hit, and that's going to be the best pitch you have to put the bat on the ball.
What if you're running in from the outfield and you're leading off that inning? Like, has that ever been like Brian in center
Yes,
field?
dude.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. I'm like
the
jogging
worst.
in, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to lead off, and you're like trying to get in there and get ready, and like try not to sprint and like be worn out or whatever. But yeah, I do that all the time. Or like from if you're third base dugout and I'm in right field and I'm running all the way in there at the end of the inning, I'm like, fuck, and
Yeah.
then trying to get ready and now with the pitch clock, everything's even faster. So like you got to get ready right away. Whereas a few years ago, you could kind of take your time a little bit more. So yeah, that's definitely a thing.
I think that's got to be an auto take. First AB of the inning, it's like, it's not going to be good anyway. I've been in the box, like breathing heavily.
Mhm.
That's not shows that my cardio is not where it should be.
Well, no, because Ryan, do you wish more people would acknowledge your speed and agility when you play the outfield? Because I watched you dive
Thank
around and
you.
make like what? Nobody gives you credit for that.
Yeah, I know. It's because it doesn't always look like super graceful, but I'll try to, I get the job done.
That's all that matters.
There
Hey, as
was,
far as first
yeah,
baseman goes, I gotta be in the top echelon for running for first baseman because
yeah.
I'm kind of like a hybrid, but I'll claim first baseman for running stats.
Do you claim yourself like when people ask, you say I'm a first baseman?
No, I say I'm a first base outfield because like if the O's were like, hey, I know we got a lot of outfielders now, but if the O's was like, hey, we need you to play outfield, then I would play outfield. I like outfield. Sometimes it's a lot less stressful. I think
Stuff
it's
happens a little slower out there in the big leagues
slower.
than the infield.
Oh my gosh, the infield can be crazy. You got to be absolutely locked in, or you might catch a Otani ball in the mouth. You know,
Yeah.
Well, isn't it
Otani
hard
hit a
though?
ball. He hit a ball 109 off my. I was holding a guy in first in LA last year. He hits a ball like 109. I just knock it down, throw the guy out of second. But and the worst part is he gets to first base. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm good." But uh, I was thinking like he didn't even get that ball. Like, it came so fast. I just like, oh my god, like knocked it down. And then all I was thinking, I looked up and said 109, and I was like, I know he's got like 116 in the tank, so he didn't even hit that as good as he can. It's ridiculous.
Asking if you're okay though, that had to hurt.
Yeah, I know.
Worse than the ball.
He's just so nice, you know. It's like, all right.
It's very polite, but also, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm okay. All right. You're not super.
My pride's hurt more than anything, I think.
Even though he kind of is, but whatever.
um, but no, like I love the way that you can transition between first and the outfield. Like, do you put a lot of time into that in the off season? Like, you are in the upper echelon of sprint speed. You're like up there with like I think Mountie and you were tied, and you're close to SETI, I think. So it's like you have some wheels.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't do much. I do a lot of like infield drills and stuff in the off season. I feel like that's like you can do a lot in the off season with that. As far as like outfield, like no, I just power shag in spring training like every day. I'll just go power shag as much as I can in spring training to kind of get comfortable. And if you can catch a fly ball in a high Florida sky with the wind and the sun and the all that, then you're gonna be just fine.
Amen.
Brian, you're one of the rare people that can play first and center. It's like you and Belly. These are the only two people I can think of.
Dude, how sick is that?
Same
dude?
guy.
That's awesome.
You are the same guy.
Same guy. Yeah. No, man, honestly, my short backstory of I was a center fielder. I mean, I was a center fielder in high school. That's what they recruited me for in college. And then my senior year, we didn't have a first baseman, and we had two little freshmen outfielders that would help. You know, that we would be better if they were in the lineup. And I honestly told my coach no to start. And when he said, "Will you play first base?" and I was like, "No," because I thought my best shot was in the outfield, and eventually I gave in and played first. And like that's how I got over there. Really, it was just kind of like dumb luck, and
Yeah.
it ended up being really important for me at the time. But no, I think I like what Ryan said about, man. To me, like outfield, there's some drills that I think help a little bit, but like at the end of the day, especially at the professional level, like your best bet is to go out there for BP and just power shag, like he's saying, because nothing is the same as the ball coming off the bat like that, or the game. Like any fungos you get are different. They're not moving the same way. And yeah, Arizona and Florida in spring training, those skies are brutal. It's windy. It's really, if you can catch those balls, you're going to be fine wherever you're playing. So yeah, I think in my opinion, that's the best way to go about working on the outfield is get out there and just catch balls when when the guys are taking BP.
For sure.
I wanted to ask because like so Brian and I were doing a pod when Jackson Holliday got called up the first time. Super young. He obviously came up and he was still getting acclimated to the big leagues. I was wondering, like, for each of you, how long did it take you guys to get acclimated to the flow of the big league game, the speed of it all? And do you think that like sometimes when these young heralded like position player prospects come up and don't initially like get it, like, do you think we as fans should be more patient because this game is hard as hell?
I I'll say this. I was thoroughly impressed with how Jackson handled last year. I remember getting called up at 25 on, we're in last place. We're not making the playoffs. And I was like couldn't sleep. Like I was nervous, big time nervous, playing in the AL Central on the last place team. Jackson Holliday, 19 years old, gets called up. He's got cameras in his face 24/7. Everybody wants a piece of him. He's got to go play. He's playing middle infield. He's playing second base, a tough position. He's expected to do all these crazy things. And oh, by the way, we're in the middle of a pennant chase. Like every game is life or death. We're playing on Sunday Night Baseball. We're playing on national TV all the time. It's like every day is a big deal. And every time he doesn't, go 2 for 3, it's like in the media, it's like, oh, what's up with Jackson? Like, why isn't he doing what he did in AAA? Well, because it's a completely different thing, really. He's in the big leagues. He's playing in a pennant chase. He's 19 years old. He's got all the pressure from all, outside pressure that I think he does an unbelievable job of handling, So I can't say enough good things about Jackson. And I've seen what he can do. He's going to be a baller. He's going to be a good player. So I'm excited to see what Jackson does this year. I'm hoping after his experiences last year, he's able to just be like, all the hype and all that crap that doesn't really matter. Just get it out and just show up and, be comfortable and be Jackson Holliday every day. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Brian, what did you like? I know we've talked about this, like slumps are a part of the game, but they are, like in his case, they were more magnified being the number one prospect in baseball and everybody's staring at him the whole time.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that kind of feels like because, like Ryan said, I was shit, I don't even know, 26 or 27 when I got called up. And obviously, I was a late bloomer. And there's probably people out there that would argue that I never got used to whatever the flow of the big leagues or whatever. But it's a different game. It's it's funny how in baseball, from level to level, you can see and feel the difference in the speed of the game. I don't really know how to explain it. I think it's just something that, us guys who go through it can just know what you're talking about. But it's definitely a different animal. And yeah, that I'm not gonna say poor Jackson Holiday. I mean, he's a stud. Yeah, like he's got plenty going for him. But yeah, to have all that hype and rightfully so and everything and get up there and struggle like he did, it's just the people definitely need to have more patience. I know you said that. Like I get fans, they're excited about it. They expect guys to play well, all this stuff. But man, baseball's just so hard. And 19 years old, obviously he's a lot better than me. But 19 years old, like if you put me in the big leagues at 19 years old, oh my god, it would have been like zero chance. This kid was playing high school baseball like
Yeah.
24 months ago, and now he's in the big leagues playing, like Ryan said, on a team trying to win the AL East. Like that is an insane amount of pressure for a 19-year-old. But I think what Ryan said is spot on. He'll be just fine. And man, it can't really get worse than it did for him his first time. So I think that'll just help him in the long run.
Ryan, what can you say about, because you saw Colton Cowser at the end of 23 when he came up and he obviously struggled, but then you saw the difference in 24. Do you think that's just like being more comfortable, like an everyday role kind of thing? Like you see us a lot where guys like get up, they initially have some tough times, and then the next time they come back up, it's fine.
Yeah, it's probably some of that. It's also probably, you can, I mean, there's stats on everything. Like, so you kind of see like where you're getting exposed, I think. And that's something that the Orioles hitting department's really good at. I'm sure Jackson knows exactly what he wants to do differently this year and like where parts of the zone he wants to cover and how he's going to do it. They do a really good job of like getting you a game plan that's like a legitimate game plan. Like they go in, they figure out what the deal is, why you're struggling, and then they show you, and then it's kind of up to the player to make his adjustment. But they do a really good job of like guiding you. So I think maybe being a little more comfortable, another year older, and he's got a couple playoff games under his belt, and then couple that with the figuring out the areas that he struggled at, they need to get better at, and then taking that into the game. And it's like The hitting is just a constant calibration. It's like every swing, every at bat, you're just calibrating. You're kind of figuring it out, and just the more time that he has under his belt, he's just like Cowser, like you said. Cowser's a great example. Cowser looked like a different guy when he showed up to spring training last year. He was unbelievable, and then obviously carried that into a great year. So I'm hoping the same for Jax.
All right, two last quick fun ones. Ryan, I've heard that like the Orioles clubhouse has just like a dozen different games and things for you guys to do. Which one of those are you best at? And then, like, how important is having that kind of stuff for like clubhouse chemistry and morale?
It is. It's kind of like a Dave and Buster's in there. Actually, we got Pop Shot. We had a putting green, pool table, golden tee. It's sick. It's not like obviously it's an older stadium and like the clubhouse hasn't been renovated in a long time, and I think there's plans to renovate it. Probably next year. But I love how it is. It's awesome. It's like you know games everywhere for grown men to play. For me, I spent a lot of time grinding on the putting green. I've been working my golf game. You see this trophy behind me?
Yeah.
That's a golf trophy that I won today. So I put it on display for you guys. I'm disappointed nobody asked me about it.
That's our fault. Damn.
It was
Wait.
over there, and then I moved it behind me just for this podcast. So,
Oh man, now I feel bad that I didn't.
no, it's
Well,
okay.
congrats.
I was going to mention it anyway. Thank you. It's like just a trophy between me and my buddies. It's called the Gentle Creek Open.
No. Okay, I didn't know if it was like some kind of like
no big deal. It's no big deal. I got a trophy for
yeah.
golf, so.
Oh, that's
That's
so
great.
funny. My last question is, when James McCann took 95 off the face, did that like make you guys question like how tough you guys are? Because like I think all of us, like I think we like to think that we're like we're cool. We would do what we would do in that situation, but his face was messed up for like 2 months after that.
Yeah, I think we all looked around at each other and we were like, okay, if that happened to me, like, I'm out of there. Dude, what an animal. Honestly. I before he got hit in the face, I had a ton of respect for James McCann. After James McCann got hit in the face, he became the Terminator in my eyes. I was like, this guy's an absolute savage. So respect for that. That's like about probably the manliest thing you can do in baseball. Just wear 95 to the face and then just spit out your teeth and go to first base. And then he had an RBI single to right field later in the game. I was like, huh, he can even see. Like, I don't understand. Yeah.
Brian, are you hockey tough?
Great guy.
That's hockey tough.
I think I'm with Ryan. If I got hit in the face, I'd have been out of the game. Came back like a month later with a softball mask or whatever, softball, whatever on a cage.
A Plaxico Burress mask.
protecting my face. No, that's insane. I don't even. God, that's so scary, man. Because the difference between being able to tough that out, like not that many people would, but like the difference between being able to tough that out and like having some real serious problems is like so small in that situation, man. I can't even imagine. But yeah, I forgot about that. That was unbelievable.
Right.
He caught like 8 innings after that too. He couldn't see well. How did he do that?
Well, it was the second inning of a doubleheader of the second inning of the first game of a doubleheader. And Adley was DHing the first game. So we didn't have another catcher. So we would have lost the DH for the rest of the game. So McCann just nutted up, man, and he got back there off the rest of the game like an animal.
That's amazing.
Dude.
That's the best.
Yeah, I contemplated getting a C flap right after that game.
Yep, C flap for the win, always.
Is that what Stanton had that one time? That thing that goes out farther?
It's this thing, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of guys wear that now. I've worn one of those since they came out with them, basically. I'm like, yeah, it seems like a pretty good idea. Just in case.
Does it impact your field of vision?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's
not to me. I mean, I guess when you're first getting used to it, maybe it would affect you. Like if Ryan started using it, it might bother him for a little bit. But no, I never had I never had an issue with it. It just it gave me more confidence to not worry about something like that. You know,
Mhm.
stay in there and yeah, I think I'm a big fan of it.
I like
I
that.
may try it in spring training. I'll give it a shot.
There you go.
Ooh,
There
keep an
you
I
eye
go.
don't
out for
do it.
that.
I don't face a ton of lefties. So like that's left on left sinkers up and in. That's probably like the
Hmm.
sketchiest one.
But no, when you did last year, Ryan, real quick, I DM'd you about this. Like Andrew Heaney, people forget left on left. Like you crushed it. Like, did that give you the confidence to know that, like, hey, even I don't face lefties a lot, but when I do, good stuff happens.
I hit singles, jam shot singles. No, I mean I had better ABs against lefties last year.
Yeah.
Um, I mean the who it is has a lot to do with it. Like if a guy has like a four seam fastball or a cutter or he doesn't throw that hard, like I'm cool. But like Framber, I faced Framber last year, and I felt like I didn't even need a bat. I was like, if I make contact, it's going directly into the ground. Like his so heavy. So I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what. I if I'm in the lineup, I'm gonna get in there and try to do something. Just try to jam shot a single somewhere, get on base, work a walk, whatever. Uh, But I've been working on some lefty shapes this offseason, so we'll see.
You can
Yeah.
do it, man.
People don't talk enough
I have
about that. Your outfield and your left on left.
Thank you.
I have a quick story that ties in with Ryan for this. Ryan, you Tim Hill was with you in Idaho Falls for a little bit, wasn't he?
That's my boy. Yeah, we play together a lot.
So I played with Timmy in San Diego and ended up being really tight with him. But
All time
it was
guy.
dude, so and I think you know this story, but I was standing there with Matt Strom, who was also with Kansas City back in the day. And
Yep.
him and Timmy were really close. And I was somehow we were talking, man, and I'm like, yeah, I faced this guy in short season and I was hitting pretty good. And he was like a lefty sidearm, like subby guy. And I got in there for 3 pitches and I literally didn't see any of them and just walked back to the dugout. And come to find out, it was fucking Tim Hill
Timmy? Yeah.
who I was talking about as he
Dude.
was, standing out there throwing for us. But yeah, I remember in Billings, he came in to face me, and I was like, I did not see one of those pitches.
Dude, he's nasty. He's
Yeah,
been that.
he is. He is,
I had
man.
faced him a
But
few times last year in New York. And I saw he just re-signed with the Yankees, so good for Timmy.
yep, yep, good dude. Anyway,
Strom too. Next time you have Strom on here, ask him about my career numbers off him.
Ooh. Okay. Is that
He's gonna be mad at me for that one.
oh did you get him?
Career 1-for-1 homer.
You got him.
pretty good.
And Matt
Pretty
and
good.
I have a lot of history. We played all together in the minor leagues. That's my boy. I love him to death. Yeah, I just stayed at his house in Philly like last week.
He collects
Um,
baseball cards of everybody who takes him deep too. So
I
there's a
know I had to sign one for him.
That's
Strom
awesome.
also, for the record, when I was in AAA, Strom made to the big leagues a year before I did. He bet me at a sushi restaurant. We have the same agent at a sushi restaurant in Scottsdale. He bet me $1,000 that he would hit a major league home run before I did. So I have 67 MLB homers, something like that, and I don't think Strom has one yet, and he probably will never have one. So, for the record, and I have one off of him. So next time he's on the pod, give him some
yeah.
shit for
He owes you a sushi dinner. Or $1,000.
that. Oh, he paid up. He paid. I hit a homer in my debut. I had probably 500 text messages, and then I'm like scrolling through my phone, and I like exited out all text messages, went straight to Venmo, and sent Matt a request right after the game.
Oh, I love
Oh, I'm
it.
definitely
That's classic.
asking about that. Matt Strom's the
Yeah,
man.
he is the
Um,
man. I love Matty.
oh, guys, this was the best. This has been incredible. I'm so happy we were able to coordinate schedules because I've been looking forward to this all week. Ryan, obviously, I'm such a big fan. Go O's, man. So be cheering you on
Awesome.
all year. Thanks again for coming on. Means a lot.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Thanks for having me. It was fun talking to you guys.